everyone, thanks for joining us today. My name is Alexander, I'm a founder of digitalolympus.net, and I'm super excited about our today's female edition because we have more than 20 excellent digital marketers that are well known and they have an extensive expertise in various niches of digital marketing, and we are going to stay today for more than 10 hours online, sharing their very best tips, having really engaging conversations, answering your questions. And I want to also today to introduce my colleague Helen. She's going to help me today hosting our event. She's from a very nice company that I really love. It's prnews.io, and so they're an awesome team, and also they have awesome services. You should definitely check if you're struggling with outreaching the right bloggers, with putting together content. So I highly recommend. And without additional ado, I'm jumping into our today's section. We have today Salma, Purna, and Alicia. And so our very first speaker today is Purna. Purna, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Hi.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. So let me quickly introduce you, and then we are going to just, jump into your presentation. So first of all, I want to say that what you've done, Purna, so far with building your brand, that's amazing. I really love it, and like she's, just keep going and keep growing, and showing us that everything is reachable. Thank you very much for that. And so, Purna, actually, she was named as PPC Hero and one of the most influential PPC experts. And well, it's really important to know that she's from Bing team, and she's going to tell us today how PPC exactly can give your content wings, and how you can use the power of PPC in order to reach broader audiences. Thank you very much, Purna, for joining us today. And so let's just, dive into your presentation.
Fantastic. Okay. I'm going to go and share my screen right now, guys.
Awesome.
Okay. So I'm going to talk to you guys today about how PPC can help give your content wings. So just clever ways that you can use PPC to promote and share your content. Very often there's this whole misunderstanding that us in PPC, we're only a lower funnel channel, and that all we can do is help with like conversions. And that's not true. So I want to talk us through some of the ways. So I'm Purna, as you already introduced me. I just want to say that I'm sitting in Australia at the moment. I have not yet been successful in my dream of cuddling a koala bear and stealing it back with me to bring back home to America. So I'm going to try if I won't get in too much trouble. They're absolutely adorable. So like I was saying, we know that we have that much more power, but it's hard for us to explain sometimes to the other teams, or if within a business we can have like the SEO channel, the social media channel, the PR team, and we need to flex our muscles a little bit more and let other people know what we can do and how PPC can help. So I'm going to talk to you about some teamwork strategies that you can implement. There's 3 things really that we can do. The first one is you can have a big win for your SEO team, because you can get a lot more eyes and relevant eyes for that content. And you can do is help build your brand and strengthen it by being helpful for your audience. You can come out and show them that you care about them. If they're asking questions, you'll be there with the right answer. And ultimately, you can help yourself by earning yourself more leads and conversions. So how do we do it? There's a few different ways. Let's start with offering really good content. Now, SEOs, content marketers, we put in a lot of time and effort into coming up with really high quality, excellent content. And we find that, of course, there are these higher level searches, the longer growing. And what happens if somebody does a search for how much health can I afford, for example. And then you, as an SEO, have created a mortgage calculator. How do you make sure more people see it? That's when the PPC team can be like, hey, why don't I run some ads to your mortgage calculator? And so your ad like this can show up, like how much house can you afford? It goes to a mortgage calculator. It's a higher funnel ad. So as you can see, it's not going to be like, come and talk to our agent now, we'll offer. It's just like, come and interact with our calculator. You as the SEO, your content's gone to the right person at the right time because they're looking for this actual service. And then for PPC, we were able to show up for a higher funnel term where it's not that competitive. So I can get a pretty low cost bid and it's not that much for competition. So the chances of them clicking on me is better. You know that saying, catch them young and watch them grow. I think with a lot of things with PPC, it's catch them early in the funnel and push them down. Like that's my favorite way of looking at it. So we can do this here. Or what if the SEO team has put together like these videos of how to apply eyeliner, for example. People do this search, they do these kind of informational queries. We can show up again right up top. And what's helpful is that having these ads show up right up front means that a lot of people will click on it. At Bing, we see that when we look at ads in the main line, which is right above the organic listing, or on the right-hand side, we'll have especially the first and the second one. So if your ad, there's a really good chance of you showing up right there. A lot of people will help. You can get some more traffic too. Now, something else that we can do while also giving helpful content is building associations with the brand and the term. For example, you know, when I say Xerox, we just assume we mean photocopying. Same thing if I say Kleenex, we mean like tissues. So if you want to build that kind of an association, you can do that with by bidding on different indirect brand terms. So if I wanted to go through some of just raw makeup, for example, I could have Neutrogena here. In this case, is associating gentle makeup removers for people looking for makeup removers for sensitive skin. So that's interesting what they're doing there. But this one's even better. I love that Crest is making themselves stand out as the expert because they're like, hey, if you've got tooth whitening questions, then obviously we've got your answers for you because we're the experts, we can help. So all of that content for answering those questions, it's coming from work that the SEOs have already done, but it's a clever way to show up at the right time for the right person asking that question. For even a few dollars, you could get a lot more traffic to the right place and have that additional impact on your brand because you're going to stand out as the expert. And there was a whole study actually that was done on how consumers are really influenced by advertising, especially for fast-moving consumer goods. They found that it helps build trust and brand recall, and people are more likely to just buy this. So if you do this, there's additional help, not just in promoting your content, but in building your sort of brand value and brand recall. So it's a really smarter overall move to take advantage of it there. The next thing that SEO content can help really our PPCs as well is with this intent. Now, if you guys look at the search query that's inexpensive kitchen remodel ideas, you can tell that it's much more of a research phase as opposed to a actionable, like I want to take action and convert and just go with the company. But very often something that we PPCs do a little too aggressively is we'll try to like push you down the funnel. So if you look at the first ad there, it's like, hey, come save $500 on a kitchen makeover. We've just gone on the first date. We're not ready to get married yet. So at this point, that ad it's a good ad. There's nothing wrong with the ad. It's showing up for the wrong point. not matching the intent of what people are looking for. The SEO content, which is 50 kitchen ideas for photos, for example, the third ad, and I can use that to serve myself for a term that is much more research and higher in the funnel, and drag people to that website. So now I'd be more likely to click that one because that aligns much better with my intent. And then if I went to that page, I could have that offer on the side of the page saying that save $500 in a kitchen makeover or whatever. At that point, I would be more okay with seeing an offer because I'm also getting to do my research and look at some of the photos and get ideas that I'm looking for. So it's some of the SEO content can be again so helpful for PPC to help us do this kind of intent alignment while also getting more clicks for yourself. Another thing that we can do is to build longer term brand loyalty. I love that what L'Oreal's done in this ad here. You can tell like L'Oreal's clientele is obviously women, and they want to show that they are doing their bit to empower women, pretty much Alex, like you're doing. Thank you so much for this edition of Digital Olympus. So if they know that having a message like nominate a woman of worth would be interesting and appealing for their demographic in their ad. So if you do a branded search just for like L'Oreal or who they are, you'll see an ad like this and you can say that, oh, nominate a woman of worth. So that is in a way building that emotional appeal. Think about it for a second. If you think about Dove, do you think just about soap or do you think about just so many more things beyond soap? You think about their beauty campaigns, you think about what they're doing. Dove is no longer just soap. If I think of just any other brand, it would be that's just soap. And here's that way that PPC can take that SEO's content, give it wings that it show up at the right time to strengthen the brand, while also, again, getting more views and bringing in more awareness for some of those other campaigns that PR, SEO, and content teams are running. And another way that we can take that content is to remain top of mind. And that's with remarketing campaigns. So what if somebody came to Purna and bought some dog food before, they're sort of looking up different information. They've got a new puppy, they want to help train it. They're like, how do I teach my puppy good manners? Purina's created this content already. So if this, I can now link to this content and be like, here's some puppy training tips. Do you want some information on how to toilet train your puppy or how to teach it good manners? Here, we'll help you. So now it helps the PPC person as well as the branding person come and put Purina top of mind. So now the next time this pet owner is going to go to their to the store to buy pet food, again, they're going to just have the Purina, like this goodwill in their head for it, and that brand recall and that trust, like that study found, is going to help be there. And this is great content that you can serve for remarketing ads. Say if somebody's come to my website but they didn't really buy, I can serve remarketing ads again. And some of those remarketing ads can be quite desperate, where it's like, oh, come back and buy, special offer, special offer. It doesn't always have to be that way. You want to keep your brand value strong. So think about back in high school when you had that crush, and you didn't always kept calling them and be like, when you going to ask me out? Because that would be desperate. Instead, you just try to show up looking good or being around them and, making yourself as appealing as possible. So in that way, the brand can do that with this lovely SEO content and say that, look, you haven't done anything else, but now you're looking for things related to our field. Why not here come and find this helpful content and helpful information? And it's a huge win for all the parties involved. And there was a study that was done by Duke University a few years ago, where they found that even subliminal brand exposure can cause people to act in various ways. They did this study where they got 341 people in a room and told them that they were coming for a visual acuity test to check their eyesight, and they divided those people into two groups. And group one had a logo flash very quickly in front of them, and group two had a different logo flash very quickly in front of them. So, for example, group one saw Apple, group two saw IBM. Then both the groups were given the same task. They said that, hey, here's a brick, come and list all the different uses of that brick. Now, if you had to guess which group had more creative uses and more uses, you'd probably guess Apple, and you would be right. Like, even though the logo flashed in front of them for less than a second, it still had some kind of impact. So if you can imagine that something so tiny can have impact on behavior, then having your brand show up in these different ways, using those SEO content, can have huge rewards for your brand as well, and for getting people to continuously to engage and share your SEO content even further. So win-win-win, like I said, you get more exposure at the right time for people, because PPC, especially with those longer tail queries, they're pretty specific about what they want, and you can answer it at the right time. Your clients and your customers are very happy, and then you're really happy as the PPC, because you could measure all those different micro conversions like lead gen, or things like how much content, how many different pages did they go along, did they go and download something, and it's a huge way to help up and keep up your overall conversions. So that's it for me. Thank you, and you can prepare your content to blast off. Back to you, Aleyda.
Thank you very much, Purna. Thank you very much for sharing with us some really interesting approaches that will help you reach broader audience. Could you please stop sharing your screen, or it was just... Thank you. Awesome. Okay, so we are going to move to our next presenter, and then we are going to have, in the end of the section, a conversation. So I'm super excited to move to our next presenter. That's Salma Jafri. She's a content marketing strategist and also international marketing specialist. And actually, I had the pleasure to attend Salma's speech at inbound.org. Are you going to speak at Inbound this year as well?
Thank you so much, Alex. Thank you so much, Alex. It's kind of early to say either way right now, but I do hope that something will work out.
Anyway, guys, what you can do, you can go to inbound.org and find Salma's presentations over there, and that's what I definitely recommend you to do. And so Salma is going to tell us about 5 reasons to upcycle every piece of content you create to get the maximum exposure. And so she's going to tell us what is exactly upcycling. And so thank you very much, Salma, for joining us, and the floor is yours.
All right, thank you so much, everyone, for having me. Thank you, Alex and Digital Olympus, for hosting this event. When I heard that it's for female marketers and we're all going to get together on this platform and share our knowledge, that was super exciting, because I think this is one of the first type of events that I've actually been a part of. And I'm super impressed with how you've put it together, and quality of the people who you've invited here. So my name is Salma Jafri, and I'm a content marketing strategist and speaker. And I have to be really honest upfront with you. I'm actually really lazy. In fact, what I do is I always look for these shortcuts. So when I'm doing content strategy, I'm looking for getting like the maximum out of the minimum. And that's how can I make this go further? Do more with this. I'm creating all of this amazing content, but it's gonna like die out in a day, a week, a month. No, I want more out of it, right? How can I do more? But at the same time, I don't want to be spammy. I don't want to be repetitive. I don't want to be annoying either. And so, my content ideas all stem from the fact that I'm really a lazy ass marketer myself. And so I appeal to people who are, content creators, but who really want to get like value out of everything that they do. And they want to put in a lot of effort into creating something really good to start with and then get really good value out of it. So that's what upcycling is. And so I'm going to share my screen here and get straight into the presentation. Here we go. So it's called 5 Reasons to Upcycle Every Piece of Content You Create for Maximum Mileage. And these are all of my strategies, condensed in a 10-minute format here for you guys. So smart content creation strategies for lazy-ass marketers. Now, this is actually me when I think about, I have to write another blog post for my business or for my client's business. Like, seriously, head, meet, desk. That's a hashtag, head, meet, desk. But, so what this essentially stems from is the fact that I feel that
Salma, I'm sorry, we can't see your screen. So I'm sorry for interruption, really sorry about that, but I think it's crucial to see your screen.
All right, shall I start it again?
Yeah, let's do it one more time. I'm really sorry about that.
Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, I know how
it's just, important.
All right, so here we go. And wait, hang on one second.
Yeah, sure.
Let's start this again. All right, can you see the screen now?
No. I'm sorry. It doesn't seem to work.
Doesn't work.
Oh yeah,
now?
I see it right. Yeah, I see it right now.
Oh, so it doesn't show it when I do full screen for Keynote.
Ah, I see. Is it any chance to make it a bit wider? Just at least.
Yeah. So I can just stay in presentation mode and present. Okay. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
Right. We'll just do the zoom in a little bit here.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Actually, no.
It's just,
wait.
Yeah, you need to can you just adjust in here like that? Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, let me just do that.
Oh yeah.
Sit in window actually. Is that better?
Yeah, I hope so. It's not like if there is any chance to make it a little bit bigger, but if you push a play button, it's not going to work. Yeah.
It's not gonna work?
I don't know.
So
we can try actually. I'm just asking.
Does this work? Can you see the screen now?
No, it's like the same. I mean, like it's not the full presentation. So can you just switch back to just to the previous one?
Okay, no problem. I'll just do it from here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I'll make this as big as I can.
Thank you very much. Oh yeah.
There we go. Is that better?
Thank you, Purna. I'm sorry for that.
All right, let's see. Okay, so I think that should work, right? I need to see the navigator here. All right, so anyway, I don't know. Can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can see a screen that looks good.
Oh, okay. Alrighty then. Present to everyone. Okay, so we're gonna go with this. Just give me 1 second here to get my bearings on this. Alrighty. So anyway, so what this GIF is supposed to be showing is, the little bunny from Zootopia banging her head against the desk. But since you can't see that, I'm just going to have to leave it to your imaginations that when I'm thinking about content creation, it's overwhelming. It feels like it's a never-ending exercise that you have to constantly keep coming up with new ideas. And you have to constantly be fresh and original. And so what I really want to do is in this 10-minute presentation, which I think might be like 7 minutes left, what I want to tell you about is that I want to tell you about my lazy but smart mantra, which essentially is going to let you not be so overwhelmed with the process of content creation. I want to introduce you to upcycling and then tell you 5 reasons why it's such a great way to create content and 10x it for maximum effect. So let's get straight into it. So essentially, the starting point is to not add noise to the world. So I think that creating content just for the sake, like, you know how companies do, oh, we have to push out 1 blog post every week, or we absolutely have to, create like 1 video every week. So when it becomes like a have to or a must have, then I feel that things start to erode in terms of quality. And I feel that it starts to affect a company's output, right? So what I would really like to do instead is create content not by adding noise, but by adding value. So one of the biggest content creation challenges, rather 2 of them actually, that are in every study that's been done in the last few years, and these are figures from last year, from 2016's Content Marketing Institute study, that marketers are really overwhelmed with producing engaging content and producing enough of this engaging content. So I think we need to get back focused into actually, focusing on what is it that the audience really wants, rather than, oh, we have to stick to a schedule and push out a blog post every week. If we want to 10x our output, so we want to get smart and strategic. Now, strategic essentially here to me means work backwards. So we need to figure out, okay, what are our goals? And then reverse engineer the success of that goal. So if our goal, for example, is lead generation, okay, how can we get people to sign up? What will they sign up for? Are we going to give them something so valuable that they're going to give up their email addresses to us for? So, or strategic could be, for example, we want more view time on, let's say, YouTube, right? How can we say our stuff in such a way on video that people are going to stay hooked minute after minute and keep watching that stuff, right? So how do we keep them, how do we keep the content flowing in a way that our retention rate, our watch rate goes up, right? So we work backwards from that. So the first step is to get strategic. And second thing is to be smart about your strategy. So here is where upcycling comes in. Right? So upcycling, I have a quick definition for you. It essentially means to convert content into multiple formats for the purpose of adding value. And this is really key, bringing that piece of content into circulation again. And hence, I'm going to go back here and show you the upward spiral. This demonstrates that not only are you causing ripples around your content and having it, go out and reach more people, but you're creating more content from it that brings it back up. It keeps bringing the content back into circulation and back into the viewers, retention. And how does it do that? So here's an example. You see 3 tables over here. What I do typically for my own brand, and I do this for a lot of clients' brands also, that we produce core content, which is typically a YouTube video. And the reason we start with video is because it's the most content-rich format out there. And then from this YouTube video, we will create multiple types of content over different audiences and over different platforms. So, for example, I will create a blog post with that video, right? I will take out the audio portion of it and put that up on iTunes or Stitcher or any kind of podcast platform. I will be able to take multiple images out of that video. And of course, I could make a presentation. And this list is very inexhaustive. There are so many different ways to do it, depending on what your ultimate goals are. And then, of course, then SlideShare and your blog and SoundCloud and Instagram, these are the distribution channels on where you can distribute all of this content. So notice what happens here is that all of these different formats are presenting the content in very different ways. So what I'm saying in a YouTube video is going to be very different from how it's going to appear in image form, right? Or how it's going to be in a blog post. So for example, in the blog post, there will be internal links, there'll be embedded images, there will be subtitles, there'll be a lot more context, and there'll be a lot more formatting, there'll be shorter paragraphs, it'll be easier to read and easy to scan, right? And compare that with a presentation, which will be visual intensive. So all of these are different ways of presenting the same information. And that is essentially what upcycling is. You take a video or a core piece of content and you upcycle it into different formats and on different platforms for different audiences. And you have to stay true to the platform. So let's get into the 5 benefits of upcycling. So the first one is that this method allows you to really be epic with your content. It allows you to focus on what you're creating, and it allows you to feel like what you're creating really matters. And because you're going to be spending so much time upcycling it into different formats, you should love what you're doing, right? That's where it should start from. I mean, imagine having to work with like a piece of content that you hate. Like, that's terrible, right? So you should start with what you love, because only then will you keep thinking, what else can I do with this? What else can I do with this? This is so amazing. More people need to see this. You know, that's where it all stems from. So it makes you create your best. The second amazing benefit is it's super fabulous for SEO, and maybe Purna could jump in here in the Q&A section, where essentially what I'm doing is I'm trying to show up for all sorts of searches, right? Image search, video search, web search, text search. And so it's great for SEO because suddenly I'm taking that same piece and I'm converting it into different formats. The third reason is that, think about it this way. If 10 people benefit from your content, what are the chances that 1,000 people are going to benefit from it? What are the chances that maybe 10,000 people are going to benefit from this? So essentially what you're doing is you're extending your reach and you're letting more people get advantage of whatever it is that you've created, because, right, it's helpful and it's valuable. So you want more people to see it. And this is a great way to have extended reach. The fourth reason is I'm so allergic to spam, and I'm so allergic to being repetitive. So essentially, this little scarves you see on a black shirt here, I call this my dressing up strategy, right? And that essentially means that you have your little black dress, right? You have your basic stuff. You have your basic video or your basic blog post that you've written. Then you dress it up according to the platform that you're on. So for example, on Facebook, you could be like more social about it and more fun about it. On Instagram, you could be quirky and like really, really, have like all sorts of fun with that. On YouTube, you could be deep and strategic about it. On Snapchat, you could just go all out crazy. On your blog posts, on your website, you could have your corporate branding, so you just dress it up in different ways. So it's really the same content, but how you present it, how you accessorize it, makes it not spam and makes it interesting to see things from all these different perspectives. The fifth reason, which I actually love this reason, is that it respects your audience's learning style. So think about it. I'm somebody who actually loves consuming blog posts because I read really fast. And so I can consume a post really, really quickly. And some people love watching videos. Other people love listening to podcasts on their commute home or to work, right? So people have different learning styles and they have preferences for different learning styles. So why not cater to all of the different ways that your audience likes to consume content? And so upcycling it really allows you to do that. And I've really put in a bonus reason here. So it actually respects the platform, because guess what? All of these social platforms that you're distributing your content on, they all want you to do native. Facebook wants you to upload video directly to its platform, and that's how it's going to show it to more of your audience. And so, YouTube wants you to stay on YouTube and keep watching video after video. On your website, you want people to stay on your website and go through your sales funnel. So when you upcycle content in this way, it really respects the platform, and you stay true and you stay native to the platform, which in turn helps your organic reach. So I really think about upcycling as you can upcycle for new formats, for new platforms, for new audiences, for new mediums, and new verticals. And if you want to know more about all of this and how I do it, I would love to invite you on a free call with me. This offer is just for the webinar attendees for Digital Olympus, and it's valid all throughout February. So you can go to this Calendly link I've put up here, and maybe Alex can share this out later. So it's calendly.com/Salma Jafri /upcycling. and maybe we could talk some more about how you can apply the strategy to 10x your content. And that really is the end of my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to your Q&A.
Salma, thank you very much for your really extended presentation and presenting for us how we can use Upcycle and learn more about reusing our content in a more effective ways. What I would say that's really interesting. I'd love to try as well for my personal needs. And yeah, thank you very much. And we are going to share. I have a tweet actually. I'm just trying to put everything together. So I have a tweet about sharing your webinar. So you should just can. And so I think. Thank you. Awesome. Cool. So I think just to action and third speaker.
I see. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Yeah, we can hear you.
Hi, Alicia.
Hi. It's a real pleasure to talk to you all today. So, my name's Alicia Lewis. I work as a content expert at BuzzBuzz in Brighton, in England, creating blogs, articles, press releases, as diverse as an international airline, music festivals, local art. And presentation for you. Okay. Screen share.
Your screen share.
Present everything.
Yes, we can see you.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
I'll get going. So, with the rise of semantic SEO, spearheaded by personal assistants, changing the way that we search for information. Instead of writing a few keywords, we're now writing full sentences, specific questions, and all of its own, can invest in our audience's esteem by finding out what questions what is your message to the people not going to invest in service. You can establish empathy around the product or service, on the way you promote your product or service around an existing. You learn and that means that these audiences will have an important question. They'll remember you as a before you know, you can find out idea of who you're talking to, or such as YouGov profile. But you consume and tend to be aged 25 to 30. Working in media or real estate who like the theatre and watching might not get the information you need from here, so always use a sanity check. My social media and our music festival's worth it. Our musical's safe. Turn our music festival's worth it into a great blog topic, but you may not want to write a blog on our music festival's satanic. However, when forming your tone of voice and developing that, you may want to bear it in mind that there's a large portion of people who are worried about the ethics behind festivals, and you can create a very friendly tone to bear those in mind and allay any worries. Beyond that, I use tools such as answerthe.com or FAQ. You can search either of these and get a deeper and broader view. So branded term, and they use data scraped from popular sites to find out what common sentences ending with a question mark are used around the web. So when I type in rock festivals, I get what to wear for rock festival, survive a rock festival. Already we have beautiful blogs and for articles in both print and online outreach. Likewise, Italian food gives me what customs, a really exciting blog right there, and how has Italian food influenced Britain? And people are generous, so we can give them something that answers a genuine question and adds extra value to your brand identity. We're not just a restaurant where you can come and sit down and have a meal. We are culture that links you here in Britain to a world of Italian culture, culinary influences. Now that's exciting and worth investing in. It's important when you're answering these questions to assume the right tone for your target audience. So I tend to do this by simply looking at social media pages for competitors, looking at what language my target audience commonly use to identify their goals. So again, using the same competitors, the Rock Festival, Download Festival. The fans who discuss this online, particularly on Twitter, use full sentences, full words, a casual yet enthusiastic into that. Meanwhile, tweets around Italian food and culinary culture use references to business lunches, coffee meetings, and discussions about recipes and cooking. So we can step right in and speak our audience's language. Again, with SEO, if they're given the top 5 results, and one of those is already speaking their language, that is the one that will jump out to them. So don't be afraid to give your brand a human face, so long as you research the type of human that you're speaking to. So once you know who you're talking to, what they need to know, and how they identify those goals, it's time to bring it all together. You can craft a truly expert answer once you know who you're talking to, both blend in with the information that they and stand out by offering answers that they really want. So imagine that you're scrolling through your Facebook feed and you'd be less likely to click on an advert if it was obviously an advert than you would an article that relates to something that you're interested in, that answers a question that's already playing on your mind. It would be just like the sort of thing that a friend of yours would share organically. So going back to my examples of the music festival and the Italian restaurant, here are some ideas that I've crafted. Fancy something different this weekend? Here are 5 reasons to choose a local music festival over another takeaway in front of you. This is related to the fact that my target audience have geeky interests, the fact that my target audience are younger, and the fact that I know from the research I've done that the common question is, are music festivals worth it? Here are some reasons why they are. Likewise, my idea for the Italian food would be, how has Italian food influenced British culture? In that way, we know that it will appreciate to an older demographic, which has been scraped from popular sites. How has food influenced British culture? So already we're providing not even added value, but just a very personal value from the very beginning to our brand identities. So in conclusion, in order to find user goals, find the questions that are being asked and respond to them, a degree of brand loyalty, you build a persona for each of your target audiences, identify each persona persona's goals in relation to your product, learn to speak each persona's language, craft expert answers in response to their questions, and most importantly, invite feedback, ask for comments, ask for debate on LinkedIn, because the more questions your readers ask in response to you, the more material you have already. Thank you very much for bearing with me, and I look forward to hearing your questions later in the session.
What's your name? I'm sorry. I thought it should be Alicia, but that's not right, yeah?
I say Alicia. It differs depending on which country you're in. I have travelled in America where Alicia is common, and in the Czech Republic where Alicia is common.
Very interesting. Thanks for giving additional
thank
details.
you.
Thank you very much. So, I believe we are ready to tune into, we have, I believe we have enough time into going through the meaningful conversation. And actually, to warm up it, I have a very simple question to you ladies. So do you think that every online business needs a blog? And if no, then what other options might be? So if you don't mind, let's start from you, Alicia, and then we're going to figure out who's going to just jump into that conversation.
Okay, so from my experience, and blogs are very central to what I do, all companies can benefit from a central online place to display their industry expertise. So whether you call that a blog, a news section, or just updates and discussions via social media, it's increasingly important brand building. So yes, I reckon that blog content is valuable because it drives traffic to a company's site from organic search and social media. And it can then guide the user journey through the site via in-text links and calls to action. So it's twofold in that it gives relevant information and it gives a link in to what your service actually offers. So I'd say it doesn't have to be called a blog, but something that offers that insight is necessary for any service.
Please. So you believe that you are going just to correct me if I'm going to be wrong, but you believe that any business needs to have kind of a content that is going to attract people, but not necessarily a blog. Awesome, cool. What are your thoughts, Salma? Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so I think that I mean, because it's 2017, I am favoring more of a video first strategy. That is not to discount the blog at all, but it's more of a, I think this is the time where you can experiment with live video. There's like so many options out there. But then again, I also encourage companies to take that video and make written content out of it. So yes, some kind of text-based stuff is still required, but I would encourage that if you can, and if you have the resources, actually you just really need a phone and some good audio connections really to start with video. So that's my, thing for, at least for this year.
Companies can afford that because you need to just, you can do it on iPhone. Yes, you can do it. Anyone can afford it, but you don't want to do it on iPhone. Actually, you want to do it go to a studio, have high quality videos where you look good, and so that.
Well, I mean, it's a common misconception that it has to be the production value to be top notch, but and I think that people approach it in the reverse. They think the camera is the most important equipment, but I think that it's the microphone that actually is the most important equipment, because if you can hear somebody and you can understand them, then even if the video quality.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think here is like, you need to be really focused on the quality of what, in terms of content, for sure, what you are going to present, rather than just, like relying more on technical side, that you are going to look really kind of professional in that side. So you can just, kind of a balance between those two scales.
Like, you might have not so technical video, but like, the content that will be so solid and well delivered, so that people will stick with your video, and so they'd love to hear more from you. So what are your thoughts, Purna, about that? I mean, like, it's just, we've discussed blogs and necessity of that, as well as we just, switched a little bit to videos. But I think, can we just, make it more kind of, I don't know, like, can we survive only with paid channels? I mean, like, if you are not going to produce content, but, still like having connections, conversions, for sure, conversions from those channels, do you think it's the right strategy, or just, kind of any ideas from you will be greatly appreciated?
Well, I think that if you think about blogging you can hear me, right? Yeah. If you think about blogging in the traditional sense, that every business does not need a blog. Because if they think, oh, I need a blog, then go to the point, Salma, you just keep creating content for the sake of creating content, and that's not what you want to do. Like Alicia was saying, you have a repository where you put up good value content. That's super important. That's what's going to get people to bond and have the rapport with your company that you need. And your brand can stand out as not just, okay, any seller of XYZ product or service, but this is why I want to buy it. You get emotional investment. And you should let how your audience is interacting with content determine the format. Like video, yes, is super amazing. I love Salma's point about it being microphone first, but take a look, like, do they tend to spend time in places where they watch video? If not, then maybe are they more likely to look for something here? Or can you mix the format to encourage them? All of that could be quite helpful to think about. And the more content that you can give PPC to help them promote your content and get those sort of leads early on, even before the final conversion, is a huge win.
Purna, thank you for just, pointing out the different directions of how can you work with content, as well as, involving paid channels in a wise way. And so that's, kind of really great approach. But do you think, like, here is a question about, which is more, I believe, more related to content and copywriting rather than just, paid advertising, but still, as far as you work a lot with different groups of people, and I'm certain you were, like, involved in different types of conversation. So my question is, like, do you really, well, from definitely from your perspective, do you recommend for small businesses that can't afford good copywriters but still need content, just, still produce content? So what are your thoughts about that? Well, it might also be related to paid channels as well, when you also can't hire a good copywriter in order to produce advertising copies, but you still just, put something in order to get conversions and stay visible.
Yes, for sure. And look, even if you're a very small business and you can't think about content on this like massive scale and hiring copywriters, you don't have to do that. If you just think, what are problems that my audience is having and how can I help solve them? Or I would say just look at customer service teams. What do people keep asking all the time? Or why are people wanting to buy your product or your service? If you think about those, you just get some ideas for content that can be really helpful. It's like, hey, here are some ways to get more efficient at doing XYZ based on the content. So just think about what's really going to be helpful and valuable to your customers, and then only putting out content when it has high impact. So don't have to put out something once a month. You could take something once every 4 months that's really good, and then upcycle it with Salma steps, and then give it more longer life. So in that sense, you don't need to invest a lot of money. In terms of ad copy, the copywriting, it's easier than you think. I recommend people go ahead and just look at reviews of their products or see what customers are saying. You can find really good nuggets of what people like about your product or why do they want to buy it from that. And look at your competition's ads as well. And if you are trying to put together an equal value, if I want to showcase my value proposition, I want to give them motivation to buy and sort of reduce any friction and put it in your ad. It's really, really easy, and you don't need to be a professional 5-star copywriter to do it. I'll tweet out a link later, but I have a little easy little Excel framework for how to create like amazing ad copy that works. So I'll share it out.
Sharing your tips about how you can, hold. Can you hear me? I'm sorry. Okay, just trying to fix my screen. So let me just, put it back. Hold on. So yeah, thank you for sharing how you can just, produce especially advertising copy that will be making sense for users and it's not going to just, require a lot of time. But actually, just, to continue that conversation, I have a question to Salma about upcycling content and about when you, do you really need to upcycle only top-notch content, or you can also upcycle any type of content that might be not so, I don't know, super quality one, but still that, it's okay, I would say.
Right, so I typically recommend that you should try and upcycle evergreen content. So stuff that is going to be, because essentially you're putting in a lot of effort into creating all of these things. It makes sense if it's going to last for a long time. So if it's evergreen, if it's something that people are going to still be reading and enjoying 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the road, then that is good. The other kind of content that I think you should upcycle is series-based content. So if you have like a guide and you have broken it down into step 1, step 2, up till step 10, then that is really good fodder for converting into different formats because it increases its longevity. I do not really think that if it's a fad or a short-term trend, then you don't need to upcycle every single thing. You don't really need to upcycle every single type of content, especially if it's like something like it's a meme or if it's just going to fade out or if it's going to die out, pretty soon, then you can, sort of pick and choose your best content to use for this strategy.
Very much, Salma. Thank you. Well, I think and right now our listeners can just, understand what kind of content they should upcycle, as well as how can they minimalize, just, kind of I would save their time and resources and not wasting it on an upcycle. I'll upcycle that content, which doesn't make a lot of sense actually. So you just, you guys, you need to have really just, evergreen content that that has worked for you for a quite long time, and then you can take it and just put in that kind of funnel, I would say. Am I right? Can I say it funnel? Kind of contents. It's like it was in your slides. It was like something like contents funnel, yeah.
It was an upward spiral.
Yeah.
So it's like a spiral. Essentially, to me, it demonstrates that it's spreading outwards, but also going upwards. So there's no downtime. There's no okay, it's gonna be like
gotcha.
The road. It's like it's constantly going up.
I think I was looking on that from the perspective of sales because, well, previously I had been a lot with sales kind of funnels, and I was like, that's a funnel. Which is like
it's an upside down.
Yeah.
Like
it was. Yeah, you're right. It was. You're right. Okay, Alicia, am I right? Well, each time I try to pronounce your name in the wrong way, but I think, hold on, no, I need to do it in the right way. So,
Alicia.
Yeah, awesome. So you are you are the real copywriter here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts about that, because that's what you do on a daily basis. Might be facing a lot of just, problems, misunderstandings, and misconceptions about that. So please share your perspective about that.
So a real passion of mine that I recommend to all of our smaller clients who may not be able to afford to have me write a blog every week. I would say that user-generated content is an amazing way to not only have reusable content and spend less time writing yourself, but also to build an engaging community around content creation itself. So just as an example, we have a local real estate agent, and we worked with him to create a competition in which local people would send in their best advice for first-time home buyers. Now, this created a buzz on its own. People were sharing it, people were giving paragraphs and paragraphs of advice and their own stories. And then for us, it was only a matter of taking those stories. We had over 20 by the end of quality stories and turning them into blogs and using them across all our channels, but in a really engaging way that pushes the peer recommendation factor and really got people talking to each other. And all we had to do for that was offer a prize for the best advice, which was a meal for two in a local restaurant. And so for the price of 2 meals, we were able to get this company months and months worth of evergreen content and create a real buzz at the same time. So I'd say if you're looking for a way to save money and get really valuable content, then user-generated is the way to go. And that can work across visual media, across video, and across writing.
I really love that idea as well, but what any company should keep in mind when they're trying to create those type of content, that it should share something really valuable for those group of people. So for instance, it was free of charge meals, which was which those users found as useful and helpful, and that's what they want to get. So it should be beneficial for both sides, otherwise it's not going to work, what I believe. And actually, I have a question that was crowdsourced from inbound community, where we were asking users to share what kind of question they have to our speakers. And so that's a more generic question that's not related to a particular areas of expertise, and you can just touch whatever you want. So the question is, what do you hear everyone talking about that you wouldn't actually recommend? And so no need to just name names. That's that's not why we're here. And but that's just kind of what will be really interesting to hear. Any volunteers? Okay, I just how about you? Okay, Salma. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so I think one of the myths in my industry is that you have to be a machine in terms of content creation. And I think that a couple of people used to do this, that you have to blog 5 times a week, or you have to make videos like every single day, or like 3 times. And what actually has been proven, and I can send you links to these studies, is that if you produce less but with more effort, it actually makes more of an impact. So Michael Hyatt, for example, he turned down his blog production from 5 days a week to 3 days a week, and he still kept increasing his subscribers. Amy Schmidauer used to make 3 videos a week on her YouTube channel, and YouTube week. Okay, and so what I see is the pattern is that gurus or experts, whatever, they keep telling people, keep doing more. And it's sort of like a frenzy. It's like, okay, just more is always better. I'm not, of that school of thought. I think that less but more strategic and smarter is better. So that's something I'm kind of at odds with the industry.
I just, well, honestly, I'm also well, I'd love to say that you need to do and more quality. It doesn't matter whether it's a content, it's like any activity, so it's better to focus on quality rather than quantity. But I don't know whether you've had a chance to take a look. There was, I think it was in the end of the previous year, Basuma, they did a massive research when they were like, analyzing the effectiveness of various blogs, and also they were also focused on the quantity of that content, and they what their final deliverables was about that for instance, Nail Petal, he produced like 5 or 10 pieces per day. I don't remember the exact number. You guys just can go to Basuma blog and find that research. But the thing that he was more kind of so when it comes to performance, he was performing much better than the rest of other guys that they were looking at in terms of links and social shares, which was really, for me, it was like wow, which is also really interesting.
I think there's a debate between frequency and consistency. So I think it's not about how frequent you are, but really it's about how consistent you are. So whatever your schedule is, you need to stick to that schedule. So if it's once a week, show up at the same time, at the same date, and that sort of that goes back into psychology, how people perceive things and when they expect it, and people like routine and people like to have their expectations met. So that's marketing psychology, right? And also I think that it's about, it goes back into like TV show productions and stuff, that when you've sort of conditioned a consumer to expect the next sequel at a certain time, even though yes, Netflix has disrupted that industry and everything, but still it does make sense to have regular content. I do know a blogger who does like a post once a month. Derek Halpern is very famous for doing like 2.5 posts a month, and like massive traction and massive traffic. So again, it really also depends on your industry. If you're a news blog and you are, for example, putting out very recent news or celebrity news or entertainment news or politic news, of course you'll need to update your blog as and when things are happening. So also, I mean, apply your industry filter to this. So it's not very generic advice, but it's advice that you can use depending on your industry.
We need to move smoothly to that question around just our speakers right now. So I believe, like, Purna, could you share something that you don't really recommend to do, but you keep seeing that on a regular basis?
I think what I keep hearing is this old cliched advice that content is king and get a blog, and everyone goes out and starts like being forced to create like junky content because like I need this, content is king. And so it's all that cliche that I'm surprised we still keep hearing. So it's similar to Salma's point. It's like, stop, it's quality over quantity. You don't need a blog, you need a way to engage with your audience. It could be a blog, it could be any other format, it could be a sort of YouTube video series, it could be 8 different formats, but you want to find a way that you can really engage most with your audience a lot and go and give them value. So if you think about it in that way, like, how do I add value instead of being like, oh my God, content is king and let me like rush out there. So we should stop saying that cliche saying. So that's about, I think that's it. It's very, very similar to what Salma was saying. Less is more, blog as little as you need, but as long as let your audience really dictate it, and you can, test things out, throw a few new nuggets in there, but ultimately let them determine.
An audience that you need to find what is really engaging, and if in your case it's not really, I don't know, a blog, or it's not like the regular type of content, you still just you need to just do a proper research, measure different channels, and then make a wise decision based on that, and just blindly following any kind of top-notch, even top-notch digital marketing experts.
Exactly. And you could also raise profile for your brand and engage with your audience, even by blogging on somebody else's platform. I'll give you like a personal example. Everyone's like, well, why don't you create your own blog? And it's like, no, there's no point because I write often, but I find so much value in writing for like the other publications that have established an audience already. So then it's more effective for me to reach a wider audience and have the engagement with my community by being there with an established source. So don't think of it in your head like I have to put this stuff on my website and have it on there, which in some cases you may still need. So I'm not poo-pooing the idea. I just still think that look at what's the best way you can effectively have a dialogue with your audience.
Just, really great conversation. Journey, it's hugely. Thank you, ladies. That's a great conversation. It's really related to my own interest, and that's even more interesting for me. So, Alicia, I have a question to you. Do you have any idea that you'd love to add to that really meaningful conversation that we are having right now?
Just to follow on from Purna, we have a saying in my company, which is that content is not king, the customer is king, and we are just the jesters, the court jesters who have to entertain the king. That is our job. So it will differ from customer to customer. Every king is not going to have the same needs. And this is something that I think every time you hear people talking about a brand new platform, about oh, suddenly Facebook's going video first, or Snapchat is what everyone's using now, and it can throw content marketers into a real spin, saying which clients should we be using that for? Why are we not using this? Are we falling behind the times? And I think this can actually be a huge waste of time and energy, because for some clients, using Snapchat and Instagram is groups and the right way that we want information to be passed on. But for other clients, then nobody we're going to want to, no one who'll realistically use that service will be using Snapchat. So yes, I would say that following social media fads is never a great idea unless you thoroughly investing time and money because it's the next big thing or because everybody's talking about it. It's best to put the time in once and do all of that research than it is to put it in again and again every time a new fad comes up or a new social media network hits the scene.
Thank you, appreciate that. And so thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you, Purna. Thank you very much, Salma. Appreciate that. Thank you very much for a great conversation. I just enjoyed it hugely. And so I believe we are going to move to our next session. We are going to have a small break, like 2 minutes, in order to tune in with our new presenters, and then we are going to be back on track. So thank you very much, lady. Thank you, and hope to see you again at our next Digital Olympus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex, and thank you to everyone who tuned.
Bye-bye. So thank you guys for just, for having us today and for just, for waiting for a couple of minutes. Meanwhile, we were preparing everything with our awesome presenters. And I have a pleasure to move to our next section where we have a great, really amazing speakers. We have Aleyda, Talia, and Sara. And so I'm just, I believe, just do we have any kind of particular order we'd love to stay with? I can check on our website actually, so what kind of order we have in our agenda. I'm just, Okay, so we are going to start from Aleyda, and I'll just, I'll present Aleyda, then we are going to move to Talia, and then the very last will be Sara. We are going to have a short presentation, and then we are going to have a really meaningful conversation that will be touching various aspects that is, well, for sure related to our experts' interest and expertise. And right now I have a pleasure to introduce Alicia Solis, and she's an international SEO consultant. And I'm sure that you heard about, well, there is no one in our industry, I think, that has never heard about Aleyda. Well, I hope so. Well, that's my hope actually. And well, she's a really inspiring, and she just, example of how you can reach everything in digital marketing is just simply by working and by just, putting your efforts and time and resources in that process. And I really love Aleyda's presentations, and I'm certain that today's one about setting up accelerating mobile pages will be also awesome, and she's going to tell us about successful steps and tips and tools that's going to help you do that. Thank you very much, Aleyda, for joining us today. That's a pure pleasure.
Today's topic is something really hot at the moment, setting AMP for success. You already presented me, intro me, so I can pass this just very quickly. I am an Alicia Solis. I'm an international SEO consultant. I do also a lot of technical SEO, strategic SEO too. I like to share, and what I will say is that sharing is one of the things that really fulfill me the most, because I spend so much time researching, validating, and for me, that is one of the most important things, to be able to share this type of findings, and hopefully they will be useful for you as they have been for me, right? So the first question that everybody asks with AMP is why and when to implement AMP is the first thing, right? Like, we know that AMP went live almost a year ago already. It's a simpler HTML and CSS format using OptimizeJS and Google AMP Cache, really using Google as a CDN to serve your mobile pages, to deliver a faster and safer mobile web experience. The reality is that if we even may have a responsive web design, right? If we go and we validate it and we measure how much time does it take to load versus mobile AMP page, the reality is the one that I'm showing here right now with my own site, right? It's going to be likely much faster, the experience that AMP is able to provide. It was initially released for publisher. However, now it's really like a requirement, completely a requirement to be included in the news carousels. So of course, this is a priority and a must for publishers nowadays. It's not a ranking factor yet. That is something important to take into consideration. However, because of the big push that it has had, and because at the end of the day, it's now a requirement to be able to be shown in the news carousel, we have this type of visibility, right? Ryan Ranger was sharing about a week ago about the type of visibility and results that they are seeing internationally for news in Google News results, right? Like top stories, Google top stories, including AMP has skyrocketed in the last days. And not only really for news and news carousels, we can see also not only AMP rich results that are the ones shown in the carousels or as a rich card necessarily in the results or with an article there, but also as a typical normal results in the SERPs, non-rich results that we can see more and more every day, the one marked in red in the screen, for example. The reality is that there is a very evident preference for AMP now, a very big push too from Google. For example, they are given preference over app deep links. I have been doing a lot of efforts last year for implementations of deep links for my clients that had a very strong app presence besides their web one, and all of a sudden, those in the news and media sector, we realize, oh my God, but the push now and the path now is to go AMP, and AMP is being provided like as a preference in treatment and visibility before app deep links, right? So there might be a tweak, there might be a refocus here that we need to take into consideration, and the reality is that AMP preference is big now and is above the one of app indexing, or the one that app indexing never had. Also, it's being expanded for image results. CDNs, Cloudflare, for example, they have started to support it. Ad networks have also started to support it. So this is big. All of this wants to show that this is going big. It's not only necessarily for news anymore or media sites anymore. I am sharing with you right now the roadmap, the AMP roadmap that they share on their site. You can take a look at it. There are still very important functionality that is still not available, that it's likely to be required for an e-commerce site to be able to perform completely with AMP. However, we can see already that is being pushed, that is being planned already to be released in the following months. So we have already seen how eBay, for example, in the past, they tested too, and they shared their experience, the pros and cons, all the positive that they see, what were the challenges, and the most important thing, and why all this matter, and why all this effort is more or less required nowadays for media companies, and why you should be assessing the potential about it is the one that I'm showing at the moment. It's the additional organic search visibility and traffic potential that can be certainly impressive. Again, not only with AMP rich results, the one in the carousels, for example, that we can see in this case. I have this website that is not necessarily pure news type of website in nature, but is about information, generic information, and we can see the big visibility that it has via clicks in AMP results that are not rich ones. So there's a clear, evident potential and benefit out there. However, there are also very well-known cons, restrictions that we will have, very documented poor user experience, just about the fact that you cannot see your own URLs in the browser when you access your own website, right? So you click on the result, you go to your website, and you see previous URL, the Google one. The AMP knows about this, and it is meant to be fixed. They have shared that they are willing to fix this and to provide the much better experience, which doesn't mean that at the moment it's not being attributed to your site, but they really provide and fix this type of experience, because it's very well known that a lot of people have shared that they are not very happy with it. And at the end of the day, also, if you implement AMP with many of the plugins that exist nowadays for WordPress, for example, that really facilitates it. But the reality is that you can end up having an oversimplified type of AMP experience, type of mobile experience that doesn't necessarily connect and it's not consistent with the one that you have with your already existing website for targeted to mobile users, for example. In my case, I have mobile responsive non-AMP already, and when I enable and launch the AMP version, I ended up having this very minimalistic, as you can see, version that doesn't provide all the menu alternatives, menu options. Of course, this is the default one that is generated with the plugin. So realistically, it's important to do tweaks. Otherwise, you can end up having this. A lot of new sessions, a lot of new users in your website, because of course your visibility is going to get a boost, but then a much poorer experience, much higher bounce rate, far less pages per session, far less average session duration at the end of the day. And if you have, again, and I had this type of situation with a client, an independent mobile version with an M subdomain, and if they wanted to implement AMP, and it really compensated for them, and we did an evaluation and everything, validation for this, but then this is a website that has millions of pages, and enabling an AMP really generates this type of complexity, because you don't only have a desktop version, but a mobile one, an additional AMP one. So you need to take all this complexity into consideration, the pros and cons at the end of the day. So when does it make sense to implement AMP at the moment? Well, it's obvious if you're in the media sector, if you have a news website or have a blog that shares information, and your current mobile page speed sucks, of course, that will be a very important factor to take into consideration to want to go and release an AMP version. You can also personalize to have a very similar UX and functionality than the one that your current mobile presence has, and even your generic presence on your sites too. So it is highly connected, and is still beneficial to your user, and your user don't get lost in it and have all the same functionalities, and you ideally don't have an independent mobile version, otherwise it can become very complex, right? So once that you have decided to implement AMP, what are the steps? The first one is to verify that all your content types and all the functionality is really AMP supported. That all the ads that you want to provide, the forms, if you have like a paywall, if you have some type of specific functionalities with videos, etc., the best is that you verify that there is an AMP alternative for it, and you can easily implement it. And then you create your AMP HTMLs based on the specifications. There's a very good documentation in the ampproject.org website. As you can see, these are variations of the typical HTMLs that we have, HTML and CSS, and you need to use structured markup too, but it's like very straightforward really, and we just need to clean up and reuse the HTML that we already have to follow the AMP guidelines. And we also need to make sure, like for example, when we used to call images, that we replace the old tag for the AMP IMG tag to make sure that, again, it complies with the AMP markup that is just a variation of the typical HTML, and the same with the CSS requirement that needs to be embedded in line in the HTML. We can use only one style sheet per page in this case. And the best of it is that we can directly test it. And we can see many examples and demos and samples of codes in the AMP by example side. But we can directly include the code there and see in real time, in real life there, how it's going to see, and if it passes or doesn't the validation right there. Once that we have implemented the AMP pages correctly, we need to pair our canonical pages or our current pages of our own websites at the moment with the AMP ones, with AMP HTML tags referring to the AMP ones, and then from the AMP ones referring with canonical tags to our own current pages at the moment. And then if at some point if we really want to push and go only with AMP at some point with our own website, we need to self-refer and add a canonical tag to the AMP page. So at the end of the day, our AMP page will be our canonical original version, but this will only happen if at some point we go full AMP, and this is the only version that we have for our site. So you can see that this is very straightforward, but it can be greatly facilitated with WordPress plugins like the free AMP plugin here. We have also Glue for AMP by those that facilitates the required markup and customization options too, as well as PageFrog plugin too, that can also help us to implement instant articles if we want for our site. And the goal really is this, to provide a very consistent user experience through the AMP pages, one that is consistent and very connected with the one that we have with our current mobile sites, like the one of Gizmodo, that you cannot even see the difference. It's just like the menu is at a different location, but the rest is exactly mostly the same. And we need to realize that at the end of the day, this is an extension and independent URLs that reflect our own content. So if at some point we want to remove them, we need to make sure to migrate them, consolidate them, redirect them. We just cannot just leave them there, because it will generate errors and we won't be able to capitalize on what we at some point earn by indexing and bringing traffic with these pages. It's also critical to track them, thinking under cross-domain design also. So the suggestion here and the recommendation will be to track AMP as independent properties. And you have here the support of Google Analytics. There is an AMP analytics type of component that you can use directly, easily also. And if you want to make use of Google Tag Manager, you can do it too. You have here this very helpful resource by Seamus sharing step-by-step how to do it. And then when you do this all, you can go through this checklist, an on-page AMP checklist that is very, very handy, just to make sure that you haven't left anything out and you have implemented all what is required. And then again, you can pass through validators, the AMP project validator, or using Chrome DevTools also to validate the pages that you have enabled with AMP. And even there are crawlers nowadays, like at the SEMrush South Audit. It also validates AMP links and notifies which pages are including and referring to AMP and which are not. Or you can use Screaming Frog using custom extraction too, to make sure that you are effectively referring to your AMP pages and they are referring back at some point. They are including the AMP tag. And then you can go and, well, have a drink, hopefully, and watch in a Google Search Console if there's any type of error. Hopefully not. In some cases, those it does happen, as you can see here. So in the Google Search Console AMP report, you can see which are the most critical type of errors. So there are critical and non-critical. The priority here is to fix the critical as soon as possible. These are the ones that you should provide and give priority. The ones that are more common and the most important pages at the end of the day, because these are the ones that will be likely affecting more your overall type of AMP results. So most of this are the invalid usage of codes in your AMP pages, because you have left your old JavaScript code or HTML code or calling images as how you shouldn't, etc. But besides the typical error type of implementation of AMP codes, the other type of most common error is the content mismatch. As you can see here, the issue here is that when we erroneously canonicalize towards our typical traditional canonical version, original web version on one hand, and then on the other hand, when the content is well, there is not a one that is highly related that really needs to change or changes a lot the content when we go AMP. So we need to take care of that and make sure that there is a one-to-one relationship between our own presence and mobile presence on the AMP one. Also, there are other errors in structure markup. However, these are not critical anymore. So ideally, they should be fixed, but it's not really a priority or critical to see results. And then if you really want to see which are the pages affected in this case, you can browse and really dig into this in the Google Search Console report here and directly test and validate and see which line of code the error is showing in your AMP pages. So really, there's no excuse to not being able to validate them and verify them and fix them. And ideally, this can be kind of a roller coaster, as you can see here. But at some point, you are going to get it right. You will be able to prioritize those issues and fix them and have this type of results. One that is positive, that is beneficial, that the blue line goes up, and the red one with the errors go really down to see this type of results and maximize your mobile search visibility. As you can see in this case, in this website, most of the clicks, most of the visibility on mobile nowadays is coming from the AMP results, whether non-rich results or rich results. And it pays off to have a really much more personalized type of AMP mobile experience. As you can see here, the new sessions are still up. The bounce rate is still higher than usual for mobile. However, it's still a little bit downer than the one that we saw before. We need to understand that the type of behavior anyway that the mobile users have with AMP pages might be different, but we want to at least provide a much more consistent and best user experience that the user will likely tend to expect from our content, from our site, and make the most out of this opportunity at the end of the day. So hopefully, with all of these tips, it will be much easier for you to implement your AMP presence. And I'm very looking forward to hear your questions too. I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you very much, Aleyda. Thank you very much for your great presentation. I had a chance to walk through them. I really love your design and how it's structured. Really great work. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. So I believe we are ready to move to our next presenter, and I'll just hold on. Oops, I'll do that. Yeah. So I have a pleasure to introduce Talia Wolf. She's a well-known digital marketer, as well as she's I believe she's really into conversion rate optimization and everything related to that. She's also a frequent speaker, and so she does an impressive things in digital marketing field, and I'm certain that you know Talia, and she's going to actually she also helps businesses plan and educate conversion optimization programs, as I already let you know, and she works with that really close. And today she's going to talk about why your SEO content isn't really converting. Oh yeah, that happens, guys. That's really what we face, and how you can 10x its conversions.
Okay, hi everyone. Let me just share my screen with you guys. Hold on. Okay, can someone just let me know that you're seeing everything okay and you've got the right screen?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So just a bit about me. As Alexandra said, I've been doing conversion optimization for many years, around 7 years now, and I help businesses optimize their websites. I do that with something that I've developed that's called emotional targeting. I use consumer psychology and all sorts of other aspects of it. And today I want to talk to you about creating a conversion optimization content strategy. I see this happening many times with many websites and many businesses that create a lot of content because they want to rank in a certain way, or they want to be perceived in a certain way, but their content isn't converting at all. Now, this can be content that is blog content, but it's also website content. It's landing page content. It's every single piece of content that you write that addresses your customer. Now, in order to really kind of create a content strategy that converts, we really need to understand the people who are reading our content. Who our readers are, the site visitors, any potential customer that could be reading not just our blog posts, but our headlines, our social proof, our bullet points, and many pieces of content on our site that, like it or not, they play a part in convincing our customer to convert. And they all matter, all types of content. So I want to first get a few things straight about the readers. So during every single day of our lives, we consume between 4,000 and 10,000 messages a day. This is huge, like so many ads, text messages, Facebook, Twitter, advertisers, basically everyone's trying to reach us, right? And content is everywhere, and everyone's trying to grab our attention. And this is what is actually causing fatigue. Our brains are really tired, and we simply cannot comprehend so much content and so many messages. So actually what we do is we block most of it out. And when I say most of it, I mean between 20 to 28%. That's all we read. Now, this is not because people can't read or people are lazy. We only read about 20% of content because most websites, and I'm sorry about this, have terrible content. Their content sucks. They don't give customers a reason to actually read more. Now, the thing is that we see all this content and we need someone to tell us what to do with it. And if it's not interesting, we're not going to read. Now, if that isn't enough, then there's also a problem that we face, which 60% of web visitors expect a website to load in less than 3 seconds. Think about it. You have just 3 seconds to get your message across. So it's not enough to just have good content. You have to have content that's going to grab people's attention. Here's why. 1 second delay, just 1 second, is going to cause 11% less page views, 16% decrease in customer satisfaction, and 7% loss in conversions. See, people think that loading time is a technical thing, but it isn't. You do fix it technically, yes, but the reason this is happening is because people have no patience. They just don't want to wait anymore. They want more and quick. It's our state of mind. And what this means is, as I said, you only have 3 seconds to grab your visitor's attention and convince them that you're better than your competitor, or they will leave your website. And this is with every single piece of content that you put out there. Now, the problem that we have as marketers, and everyone here is a marketer from different aspects. I do conversion optimization, and some of you are doing SEO, some of you do PPC and design, but we're all marketers. And the biggest problems that we have as marketers isn't actually the tools that we're using. It's not the resources that you have. It's not the budget that you don't have or you do have. The real problem is us, the marketers. You see, our problem is that we're treating our customers as if they're just devices or browsers or geographical location. And we're forgetting that there's people behind those screens, people that have real challenges. See, every person who comes to your website faces a challenge. It's our job to help them solve that challenge. Whether if it's, they're trying to find something to wear for that event during the day, whether they're trying to solve an issue within their team, any reason, every person that comes to our website has a challenge, and it's our goal to solve that challenge. You see, if we help them achieve their goals, then we'll achieve our own. And basically, increase our conversion rates, because if we're helping our customers achieve their goals, then we're basically going to achieve ours. So I'd like to give you one tip today that has helped me produce an average of 160% increase in ROI for my clients. Now, what's great about this tip is that it does more than just turn more visitors into customers, which is generally what people look at when it comes to conversion optimization, but it also increases retention rates. It's a methodology that I mentioned at the beginning, and it's called the emotional targeting methodology. And basically, it's based on our customers' emotions. Rather than treating our customers like devices and browsers and geographical location, we treat them as human beings, and we start looking into their emotional triggers. Now, the number one rule for the emotional targeting methodology is make it about the customer. And here's what I mean by this. You see, most companies I talk to, and this is something that I do every time I start doing conversion optimization for a company, I will ask the company, what do you sell? And here's what they say. We sell amazing products. We have the best quality. We have the best prices. We're the fastest. We're number one. We have amazing features, blah, blah, blah. So a lot about the product, a lot about the pricing, a lot about the features. But to be honest, this isn't what you're selling, and this isn't why people buy from you. It's actually, there's a bigger problem here, because there are hundreds, if not thousands, of brands out there that are competing for your audience. They have better products, they have better brands, they might have better prices than you. Maybe they have even better features or benefits or whatever, but this isn't what makes people buy. If that's what you're going to go upon, then you're never going to really reach that top high conversion that you're looking for, because people need to read your content in order to convert, and they're going to see, whether you want it or not, better offers on someone else's website. You see, this isn't what makes people convert. What actually makes people convert is this. This is my favorite visual by user onboarding. And what it means is that we actually buy better versions of ourselves. So you can see in the middle, there's the flower. That's the product. That's what most people talk about when they're selling something on their blog, on their landing page, on their homepage, whatever. This is our product. And on the left, you can see your potential customer. And what you need to understand is that you're not selling a product, you're selling a promise. By reading this article, by subscribing to the newsletter, by signing up to your service, you become a better you, a better father, a better employee, a better marketer, a better family member, anything. People buy better versions of themselves, and this is the only way to grab people's attention and write content that converts. If you basically understand that people don't remember numbers or statistics or the 4,000 or 10,000 messages they see a day, and understand that people remember stories, you're going to take the next step in conversion. You have to tell a story that's not about yourself, it's about the customer. It's about this amazing person who you've turned into thanks to the product. So everything we buy in life has an emotional reason to it, whether if it's to feel loved, part of a community, we want to feel smart, we want to feel sophisticated. This is why making it about the customer is the #1 rule for this methodology. It's in order to create content that converts, that really connects with your customers on an emotional level. You have to remember that no matter what you're selling, what people really care about isn't the what, it's the why. You see, your content has to be customer driven. You have to make it about the customer. And if you make it about them, they will listen, they will care, they will read on, and they will convert. And I want to show you an example of what I mean, to just give you a quick example and show you what I mean on a landing page. So this is a dating site that we worked with, and their landing page consists of a lot of information and content, and it's there to convince you to start a quiz. And the quiz has 20 questions. So you click on the button, start the test, you answer 20 questions, and then at the end is when you actually subscribe for the dating site. Now you can see, if you look at the stuff, so personality test, that's a general title. It's about the test, right? All the bullet points here, you have to answer 20 questions. All test questions are single choice, blah, blah, blah. So it's all about kind of the test. Then you have start the test, which is a very generic action, call to action. And everything here is about the test itself. So we did our research and we tried to figure out who are these customers and what are they actually looking for. And our research came up with a really interesting idea that the people that we're addressing are really people that want to find someone different, that want to feel special. So this is the variation that we created. And I'm just going to show you the different things that we did. So instead of basically saying personality test, it now says unlock your personal potential. That is about you. This is about the customer. Now, it's about get my test results. It's not about starting a test. It's about you and your access to the test results and how you're going to do. Then you have the bullet point, which is join our growing community of intelligent and ambitious people. So this is what you gain. If you are going to take this test, you're going to join the growing community of intelligent and ambitious people. Now, there's many different elements that we used here. For example, the images of celebrities. And images of celebrities are kind of a cool way to go here because everyone wants to be treated like a celebrity, wants to be well known, or many people do. So this was a really kind of cool thing that we did. And you can see that other than that, we also changed, we added some trust symbols and all sorts of stuff. So everything works together. And this really drove an increase of 70% signups. Now, again, this is because we turned it from about the product, which is, here's a bunch of questions you need to answer, and we turned it into something that is about the customer. And this really does drive the change and brings in the conversions that you're looking for. So I want to give you a few tips, actually 3 main tips for making it about the customer, how to make that change that will give you, just like I've managed to do with many, many different customers and my clients, that 70% increase in subscriptions. So let's talk about the first one. The first one is talking to customers. And it sounds really trivial, but you'll be surprised how 90% of companies don't actually speak to their customers. They haven't done a customer survey. They haven't done an interview in years with a customer. And it's amazing what you can actually find out when you talk to your customers, because they have all the information. Now, the question is, what do you ask them? Because if you just ask them, why did you buy? It's not really going to give you everything that you need. So here are my favorite questions. I like to ask, what problem does the product solve for you? What persuaded you to buy, to sign up, whatever the action is? What is your biggest challenge right now? Now, this doesn't have to be a business challenge. It could be a life challenge, anything that we want to know. Then my favorite question, which is, who is your role model? And what is your dream holiday spot? Now, you'll notice that some of these questions aren't exactly about the product. They're not going to be about, why did you buy today? Why did you not buy today? These are all questions that help us understand the customer on a more emotional level, what challenges they're facing right now, who their role model is. For example, if you get many answers from your customers who say that their role model is someone within their family, you get a better idea of who your customer's persona is. These are family people. These are people that need to have more family values in your content. So it's a great way to really understand your customers better. The next step is actually interviewing your staff, and that's the people that you're working with, those that have some sort of connection with people, with your customers. And here are the questions that I like to ask. So what are the most common complaints that you get? What convinces customers to buy? Why do you think people buy the product? What can we do to be better? And what pain do we solve for the customer? And these are just, just a few questions that I use, but here's why I love interviewing the team. One, it's going to give you an option to understand the difference between what your customers are saying and what your staff thinks. Now, your customers sometimes say things that they answer the way they think you want to hear. So it's a great way to kind of leverage and see what is the right way to answer people. And then the other thing you really need to make sure of is understanding that if you can bridge that gap between your staff and the customers, you're going to increase conversion rates. And asking your staff what they think you could do better to create a better customer journey, to create better content, you really are going to get a better experience. The last thing I'm going to tell you to do is analyze competitor websites. Now, I just want to be clear. I'm not saying copy your competitors. That's actually one of the biggest things you should not do. I'm very against copying from your competitors. But the great thing about looking at their competitors' websites is that you can look at their reviews. Now, why is this important? Because the reviews that customers are leaving on that page are actually potential customers that should be buying with you or should be your clients. If you look at those reviews, you'll see what people care about. So I've kind of marked up a few things, and this is a few reviews on Amazon for a dog collar. And what I did is I basically just marked up the things that people are saying that they're in their reviews, what they think, what their concerns are, what their challenges are. And this is an amazing open door to your customers, because you're looking at this, you can find what people keep saying in their reviews. They don't think it's safe. Maybe they feel that it's not going to work for them. Maybe they're worried that there's going to be bad customer service. Who knows? But if this continues to come up, you can then know that this is something that you have to address in your content that will help you make it about the customers. So those are just a few quick tips that you can use. And remember that words don't work alone, okay? I showed you in the landing page example, images, colors, font, calls to action, forms, everything works together. And it really is how you put your content strategy together. When you make it about the customer, everything falls into place. The images will be about the customer, the colors, the fonts, and everything. So I only had a few minutes today. So here are a few more links for you to check out if you want to learn more about how to make it about the customer and how to create a real content strategy that converts. So we have the psychological triggers cheat sheet, and you can find out all about how our brains work and the different biases that we have. Then there's a complete guide to doubling and 10 timing your conversions, and there's the power of colors. And I love to put that in there because that is so important in terms of conversions and content. So as Aleyda said, I'm really looking forward to answering any questions that you have about conversion optimization in general, or anything to do with content strategy, and see how I can help you. So let's do that.
Thank you very much, Talia. Oh, I can hear that. Could you please?
I'm sorry, I'm talking to my
co-colleague.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry, guys, about that. That's just, you know, a small technical glitch. So thank you very much, Talia, for sharing this. That's just, you know, a simple how to guide how you can spot a weak content that's not converting well on your websites, and just, you know, make everything finally happens. And just, you know, guys, what I really recommend, just to follow Talia's steps, and just, you know, to keep an eye on your content, not producing it, and then just, you know, who cares about that? So you need to remember about goals, KPIs, and don't just go too into process just about, like, you know, I'm a writer. So thank you very much, Talia, and I believe we are ready to switch to our next presenter. And well, actually, are you here, Sara?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So actually, I want to just, you know, involve my colleague. Meanwhile, I'll make some tweets in order to support you, ladies. So if you don't mind, my colleague, she's going to introduce you, and I'll just, you know, make some tweets in order to make more noise.
Sure.
Awesome. So Helen Keller, can you do that? Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Alex. We are ready to our third speaker in this second section. It's Sara Borghi. She's a famous marketing consultant and SEO specialist, and she's going to talk about how to get something when you give something. Am I right, Sara?
Yeah, that's very right. Thank you. I'm not really famous. That's really humbling. I'm just sharing the screen with you. Just let me know if you can see it.
Yes, we can see your screen.
Perfect. So yeah, first of all,
Great.
I want to thank both Talia and Aleyda for their presentations. They're really awesome. I think today it's the highlight of my year to be a speaker together with them. So I'm really humbled. Yeah, we only have a few minutes today. So what I really want to discuss today is how to get SEO clients on board. So I'm taking a slightly different angle compared to my colleagues, but I think my presentation will be very useful for both agencies and consultants that are looking to get new business for their agencies, or as consultants, and also for businesses that are looking to find the right SEO or digital marketing agency that, you know, to establish a partnership with. So I'm going to talk about maybe 3 points today. So the first one is how and where to find new SEO clients to get on board. And then I move on to a topic that is very important to me, and I think it is really discussed much in the industry, and it is why agencies fail when they look for new SEO clients. What are the main mistakes that I think we make, and I surely made them in the past, and I've learned from them. And then what we can do as consultants and agencies to give value to the prospects right from the first touch points. And I've kind of created a framework which I've called NEAR. It's a very simple framework, but I hope you get value out of it. So let's get into it straight away. So I think, I think the biggest mistake that SEO agencies make is that they sometimes take on projects that, for one reason or another, they simply aren't a good fit for them. So the first thing would be to dice whether you are pitching your services to a big corporation, so big brands, or to SMEs. And before you get down to any kind of outreach, you really have to segment your prospects and refine your list and make sure that you're reaching the right people in the right way. So, for instance, if you're trying to connect with big corporations or with brands, then probably the people that you want to communicate with will usually have a title such as digital marketing director or head of SEO or marketing director. If instead you are trying to connect with small and medium enterprises, then the person you want to communicate with probably will have a title such as founder or co-founder or CEO. So I think it's really important to define your market as tightly as possible, because you can't really be all things to all businesses. You should, I think, pick your favorite industry, the one you are more interested or passionate about, and also clarify what kind of niche and the size of business you want to target, and then expand your sales efforts within the area. So in terms of where we can go to find new clients and new businesses. So there are many opportunities out there. So the first one is certainly to leverage a business database. We actually use one at my agency here in Italy, which is called Atoka, and it's really great because you can filter by business size, revenue, like location. So, and you can really filter down to many characteristics, like as many as you want. And then what I think is great is combine this kind of tool with a direct LinkedIn email to the key stakeholders of the businesses that you like to work with. A second option would be to dig into forums like Yahoo Answers or Quora and Google Product, because it is true that some of the people that are writing all those sites might be like small, like consultants themselves, but just people that are trying to learn more about SEO and digital marketing. But at the same time, there might be people that have their own businesses that have real challenges that are trying to face, and by replying to them and showing that we have an interest in partnering, in establish a partnership with them, then we can get a business out of it. Another option would be to create a complete profile on the main freelancing platforms. There are many out there, like Freelancer, Upwork, or Simply Hire, just to name a few. Again, here you can find people that are looking for like small projects, like probably not they don't have much money to pay, or they only need someone for a brief period of time. But there might be also people that, again, have real challenges to develop a long-term strategy, SEO strategy for their companies, and they might post a request on those sites. Another option would be to leverage the chambers of commerce in your city or where you are. So having a connection there that can kind of work as a middleman between your agency and the companies in the local areas might also be a great idea. And then finally, I think this is crucial, and most of the times is not that leveraged as a tool, is the website itself. So I think it's very important before you start with the client hunt to just sit down and make up a comprehensive list of keywords that you would use while searching for digital marketing services and SEO related terms, and more specific key phrases, preferably related to the aspects of SEO that you specialize in. So why agencies fail? So the first thing I think, and I mentioned it already, is that most of the time they don't pre-qualify clients. What do I mean with that? sometimes, there's a tendency to pick up clients just because maybe it's a period of lows, so we don't have really many clients or much revenue coming in, so we just get new business on board, but we don't have a budget, or they set really unrealistic expectations, or the product is not really viable, or maybe they don't really need our services, but they just want SEO because SEO is trendy and is fashionable. Another reason why I think agencies fail to find the right clients is that they fail to analyze the competitive landscape of a certain business. So some fields are really competitive, such as travel or finance, for instance. And I think this is crucial to understand really who are you dealing with and what's the competitive landscape that we have to face. Another reason would be, again, that there are the expectations that are set are unrealistic. So the client want to rank and very quickly for highly competitive terms, or they just want a complete website redesign in 3 weeks, or a migration, that will roll on very quickly without any sort of loss in traffic. So again, it's a matter of understanding what they're expecting from you and what you can actually give them and in what timings also. And then another problem would be that agencies sometimes take on projects that they don't really have know-how or the resources to actually face the project, and also they fail to confirm or even establish from the beginning what the objectives are. And specifically about this point, I like to say that to understand the business objectives of the clients is really crucial, because first of all, it helps us understand the internal budget and resource allocation, and also the focus, because we are able then to adjust the project and the forecasting when top business priorities override the SEO task. And also, the more aware we are of the overall business objectives, then the more we are able to contribute. So when we start an SEO project, or when we take a new client on board, I think it's really the first step, and I think it might be simplistic, but it's really to care about the business. If you don't care about the product or business that of the brand you're working for, then trying to market it, it's really, I think it's a losing battle. I've experienced it in the past, and it's not a fun one. And to develop the skill, I think it's very important to deeply understand and appreciate whatever it is you're marketing. So really take time to understand the market, understand how the internal processes work, and just learn to love the product or the service that you're trying to make, that you're trying to improve the visibility for. So in order to impress a new client from the start, I developed, as I said before, a framework which is called NEAR, and it's basically made of 4 components, which can really be used at any time of the project or the relationship with the client. But I think they are mainly useful at the beginning, right from the start. So the first is to nurture, the second one is to educate, analyze, and finally relate. And I explain a bit what each of these means in practice right now. So when I talk about nurturing, I think it's the first thing to establish a solid partnership with a client. It's to become really to develop a human relationship with them. So, and that starts when there's a first touch point on LinkedIn. So it's not just about sending an email and then offering our services and describing who we are as an agency. Pretty much like what Talia was saying before, like making the thing about them and not about us. So maybe take some time at the beginning to understand what they share on on LinkedIn, what posts they share, what posts they like, and establish a conversation with them and understand a bit more about their personality and their interest as well, and also about what their role actually is in the company. And very related to this, it's about, learning about the internal processes and what the buyer personas are for the businesses. Very, very important. I think SEO is not too much like, it is very technical, but it should be an enabler for businesses. So we should become people and consultants that facilitate the internal processes and and just make it easier for businesses to gain more clients and to make clients happy. And I think SEO plays a crucial role in this. Another thing would be it's just a tip, but I've used it in the past and it really worked, to send potential clients a brochure of the business with a voucher for an online competitor analysis or a free audit. That works really well, again, because we prove that it's not about us, but it's about improving their businesses and their website. And then we also another thing that I've used with my agency recently, it's like we sent a postcard with a picture of the team to a potential client, and we told them what keywords they were ranking well and what keywords they were ranking not so well. If they were interested in ranking higher, we left our email address and just to ask them to be in touch with us. And we actually got a really good reply, feedback from this kind of activity. The second pillar would be to educate. So educate means, sharing the passion and the knowledge of the whole team. I think that means obviously stay active on social media profiles such as Facebook and LinkedIn for sure. If we have worked in a specific industry in the past, I think case studies are very important. So put together as many case studies as you can, so they can download it, and that can be also a lead magnet for attracting new contacts. Another thing that I think works really well is to prove our knowledge and our skills directly on their websites. What I mean is, for instance, offering to write a piece of content for free on their blog, and by doing that, also take the chance to explaining the benefits of blogging and how content creation can have a positive impact on SEO efforts and also on link building, brand awareness, and thought leadership. So we actually work directly on their website by writing something in a piece of content that would be helpful for them. And also I think organizing monthly webinars on SEO related topic, it's also a very good way to educate people now that are constantly on the move. The third pillar would be to analyze. So analysis is, there's no SEO without analysis. And so the first thing would be at the very initial steps to prepare a free SEO analysis for the clients, where we tell them about missed link opportunities, any error that can be shown on Search Console, like 404 errors, any metadata that are not updated or not present, content that is duplicated or out of date, anything that can prove the client, your site is not performing as well as it could. And it's also a great way to start a dialogue with a potential client, and show again that they are first and not the agency. And also analyze the competitors. So dive really into how they're presenting their products and services, in addition to understanding what they're ranking for and what's driving traffic to their site. The last point would be to relate. And relate to me means, of course, develop a relationship and, touching base with them frequently, but also marketing automation. I think it's a great tool that can help us segment the users based on their site behavior. So whenever we have, leads coming to our site, coming from different landing pages and inquiring about different things, but even just, even if they don't inquire about anything, just based on how they behave, follow up with them and with content that might be relevant to them. and again, just prove that we are there to help them. And I think it's really important to leverage our website as a selling machine through marketing automation. And also, the final thing would be to not just attend SEO events. So that, you know, it's quite usual to see agencies that just go to big conferences about digital marketing, and, you know, to just be there. And there's hundreds of other agencies that do exactly the same thing. So, and that's not really the best way to gain new clients. So I think thinking out of the box is very important. Just go to conferences about specific niches or startups, and there are places where you can network with your target audience and find new clients. So just to close up, a few final thoughts. So choose the client wisely and understand their real business challenges, and see how SEO can integrate into those processes. Hire, I think this is very important, hire the best specialists and train them to become enablers for the client they serve, and also teach them to be creative, to be empathic, and of course to be technically savvy. And then develop a strong relationship with the clients and learn everything you can about their customers and processes. Thank you so much. And yeah, if you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Sara. Thank you, Sara. Thank you very much for sharing your ideas.
No problem. Thank you.
And we have time for a short question to the entire.
So, ladies, could you please join us again? And we got a question on YouTube that maybe needs some more research. So I don't think we have time to answer this question right now on live session. But I would like to ask you all about tools you use for your customers, for your own business, and
Sara,
these tools.
Sara, I'm sorry, you are still sharing your screen, so I believe no worries.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Sara. And so, what kind of tools you usually use? Could you share? Each of you, could you share your favorite tools you use to better results for your clients? Maybe who would like to start?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, I think it depends in SEO especially. There are so many tools, and although there are some platforms that want to deliver a little bit of everything, the reality is that if you do a very specific, highly specialized job, you do need to have very targeted tools in order to go in depth, right? Like, for example, for technical audits, let's say, you can, if you are a small business or a small website, you can do very well with Screaming Frog. If you have a large type of website, or you handle many websites that are have additional complexities, you may want to use other crawlers like Bodify, OnPage, or DeepCrawl, for example. But they are, again, very targeted to technical on-page type of analysis. Then, for example, for link building, there are other tools too that are very highly targeted on link analysis, like, for example, Ahrefs or Cognitive SEO, or Majestic, for example. So for each type of activities, you will likely have your own specific set of tools. I think that most of us try to target or focus or specialize on certain areas, and have their tool set highly specialized also on these activities that are much more common in our day-to-day basis.
Thank you, Aleyda. Maybe more thoughts, ladies? Oh.
it's a good question. For me, obviously, Google Analytics is like my best friend, and so is Google Tag Manager. I use them mostly to really kind of dig into data. And I think that's like the number one thing you really have to have. But when you start when you find the leak in the funnel and you know what you want to fix, then you have to start thinking about better tools that are going to help you assess your customers and find hypotheses. So I have different tools that I use. First of all, I use Hotjar a lot for basically just kind of looking and seeing how people are behaving on the website. I use their polls and I use their customer surveys to find out more. So one of the tips that I gave is to speak to your customers, and that's one of the things that I do. So I do a lot of polls and stuff to figure out how people are experiencing my website and how I can make it better, and also kind of chat with them and get some cool ideas. The other thing that I think that is really important with conversion optimization is getting everyone on board. That is so hard to do, and you really want to have everyone kind of excited about testing and get everyone kind of going and wanting to do this stuff. So I also spend a lot of the time kind of finding different tools that bring people together. So whether if it's a communication tool or sharing tool, so I even use like Envision app to share our designs, to kind of make sure that everyone's on the same page, and sending kind of full audits and reports to people so they understand not just, okay, here's the new design that we created, but why we created it. And I think if you're starting out with conversion optimization, I mean, everyone thinks that it's all about A/B testing, but conversion optimization is more than just A/B testing. You can use, tools for A/B testing like Optimizer, like VWO, like OmniConvert. I actually try and use Google Tag Manager as much as possible, but there's far more to conversion optimization than A/B testing. So I definitely kind of tend to look at tools that will help me learn more about my customers, Qualaroo and stuff like that. That's going to give me more and more info about my target audience.
Thank you, Talia and Sara.
Yeah, I mean, I very much agree with Aleyda. It really depends on the specific SEO activity that we are talking about. But based on my presentation, I think I find Screaming Frog extremely useful, especially if I combine Screaming Frog with data from analytics and also with custom extractions using XPath or just custom extractions from website where I can scrape a lot of data in a very quick in a very quick time. So I think Screaming Frog is probably my favorite. Recently, I've been using BuzzSumo a lot. It's a great tool for content marketing, for and to understanding what content gets more linked to and mostly shared. Because when we try to create content that is better to what's out there already, BuzzSumo is a great starting point. And then also, definitely Tag Manager. We use Tag Manager custom implementation so much on pretty much every client we're working for at the moment. So I think, these three, top of my mind.
Thank you, Sara. Thank you, ladies. And thank you for all your presentation. And
Alex?
Thank you very much. Just want to say huge thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, hope to see you very soon. Bye-bye, take care. So guys, we're going to have a really quick pause between our sections. So just, we need to start a new stream that we are going to upload directly on our website. And that's going to just, happen within a couple of minutes. And just, what you need to do, if you watch our conference on our digitalolympus.net main page, what you need to do, you just need simply to refresh a page, and that's it. And in case you follow us on Facebook, I believe you just need to go to Digital Olympus page, where you will see a new post with a new live stream. So see you very short. Thank you very much for just being with us for that time, and see you very soon in a couple of minutes. Thank you.